Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, thank you so much for tuning into this video. My name is Geneva Rose, and here on my channel, you can find all things related to self-love, spirituality, book reviews, show reviews, all that good stuff, and everything in between. So without further ado, let's just get right into the video. So let's just get right into it, of the magic and love and romance of Honey and Spice by Bolu Babalola. Oh my god. When I tell you I just fell in love with this book, This book feels like a rom-com. It feels like a 90s black movie, but it's also different because like they're in London, like it's a whole different vibe, but it still has that like black authentic love kind of like R&B feel, like, and there are R&B references and energy throughout the whole thing. I mean, her radio show is called Brown Sugar, for God's sake. Like, this is R&B love in a book. So when I was first reading this, I'm not gonna lie, like the first 20 pages, I was like, I'm not sure how I'm feeling about this. I had just came off the high of reading You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty, so I was kind of just like basking in that energy still. And then when I was reading this, the first 20 pages or so, I was just like, wasn't sure how I was feeling about it, but I think I was just getting used to the way the author writes and like the way the dialogue is set up and, you know, the way everything is described. But once I just like, you know, I'm just gonna keep reading it, because sometimes I feel like you can like read a book and then you're like, oh, I should just keep reading it because I should finish the book. And sometimes it's like, no, you're just not interested in it, so stop reading. So I wasn't sure if it was gonna be that, but I'm happy to say it was not that. It was everything and more. I did not expect it to be as great and amazing as it was. I heard so many good reviews on it, especially from Black women, that I was like, I trust you, I trust them, I trust us. So I'm like, I'm going, and it's written by a Black woman, so like, you know, it was gonna be right. It was gonna be right. I just had to have faith, honey. But it was everything and more. This story is just so beautiful and so lovely. Like, Kiki, I love her, and I just feel like you can see yourself in so many parts of like her character and like her character development, and just the way the love story unfolds. It's so pure and it's so organic and it's so like, you know, it's so heartwarming, it's so wholesome. Like the love that develops, the story that unfolds between the two main characters, my girl Kiki and Malachi, I just love it. And Malachi is my book boyfriend, okay honey? He's on my list now of book boyfriends because I just love him. He was like, like the way that he was described and the way that he grew and the way that he communicated himself and the way that he was with Kiki, I'm like, as a Black woman, I'm like, that's like what you dream of with a Black man. Like the way that he was gentle with her, kind with her, the way he's seen her, like really seen her, didn't just see her body, didn't just see her for what she could offer him sexually. He's seen like who she was as a person, like how she would try to deflect with humor, how she was scared to be vulnerable, how she would hide, how she wouldn't open up. He was just so patient and loving. And from the beginning, like I knew what was gonna happen. Like I knew. I'm just like, no, like this is what's gonna happen. Like there's no fake relationship. And that's how I love, like towards the end of the book, like Kiki's best friend Amina is like, girl, you think you're still in a fake, you were in a fake relationship? Like, girl, this was never fake. It was always real. If you guys were both attracted to each other, you guys both liked each other, and you decided, let's be in a relationship, it was never fake, babe. It was never fake. It was always real. You guys just couldn't see that your feelings were so real. And what I love is that the fake relationship, it made them create a real relationship. And for me, like one of the many things I took from this book is how important it is to really have that friendship with your partner, with your companion, with your romantic partner, because it's like your relationship, especially if it's like gonna be real, it has to be a lot more than just like sex and kisses and that type of intimacy. It has to be like real emotional intimacy, and that most of the time that's with our friendships. Our friends are the ones that we are the most vulnerable and honest with and open with, and they really had that And I love that so, so, so much. So from the beginning, you know, it's starting off focusing all on Kiki and basically about like her radio show and her college experience. Her radio show, Brown Sugar, absolutely loved the name. And I loved how she was a voice for the people at her school, and that she was a voice for especially the Black student body at her college. And I just thought that was so inspiring and so amazing, because I feel like she had so much. That was just one of the many things about her, but she had so much depth as a character and as a woman. As we're following Kiki and her journey with her best friend Amina, absolutely loved her. And you know, she's part of the marketing team. She basically is the whole marketing team, and she will tell you that herself. For Brown Sugar, Kiki's radio show, it basically unfolds that there's this guy, this new guy on campus who's a big ass player, and Kiki ends up meeting him when she hooks up with Zach after she goes back to get her lip gloss, and they ends up running into each other. And you just knew from that moment, it was just like kismet. It was just like, this is meant to be. This is a special moment. This is how it all begins. In every movie and every rom-com and every romance, like that moment of serendipity where they just randomly meet each other, and you just know like, this is something, outside forces are doing this. Like, this is not you guys. This is like the universe is bringing you towards each other, and it did just that in the most random of circumstances. So because she hears that like there's this big player on campus and he's like hurting the women, and you know, her radio show Brown Sugar is literally dedicated to that. It's dedicated to, you know, helping the women on campus, the Black women on campus, like keep away from the waste man, you know, like that was the whole point. As they like to say, the waste man, to, you know, be aware of like the way men can hurt you or manipulate you, and basically to you know, equip the women with kind of like the emotional intelligence and like just the tools that they need to have healthier relationships with the men that they're interacting with, whether it's casual or serious. And I really love that about Kiki, that she was just such a voice for the women on campus. So of course that's why she had to call out Malachi, because it was like, it was her duty to the people and it was her duty to herself. But also I felt like part of it was like, she wanted his attention. It was just like, I felt that like deep down. I was like, she just wants his attention a little bit. She wants to be like, I see you, I see what you're doing, and I'm gonna call you out on it, but secretly I also want your attention because I want you to see me. Even though he already seen you, girl, he already seen you. We found out later that he was already listening to your radio show Brown Sugar. He already knew who you were. He was already peeping you. He already, like, the love was already there before it was even there. You feel me? So then that happens, and then they end up meeting at Freaky Fridays again, Kiki's party, and they have this whole blowout because Malachi gets into it with two women there, and then here comes Kiki, like, what's going on? What's happening? And then let's just get right into Zach. He was literally so awful. By the end of the book, I literally was like, Zach, where you at? Like, you're a fictional character, but like, I'm ready to fight you because you're such a piece of shit. Like, he's those type of guys that like women need to stay away from. Like that perfect like predator stereotype of like, this guy is like disgusting. Like the things that he did and just the way he was from the beginning, I was just so shocked that Kiki was even with him. But then you kind of understood the way she was explaining it. Like, I hooked up with him because I knew I was gonna have real feelings for him. He was just like a body for me to enjoy pleasure with, but I really wasn't ever gonna develop real emotional feelings with him because like there's nothing to feel with him. He's literally like nothing. Like, there's no emotional depth or connection. You know, he's all about himself. He's not confident, he's arrogant, you know, he's not wise, he's just immature, you know, like that type of vibe. And that's like the total opposite of Kiki, because she's super mature and wise and independent and intelligent, and Zach just doesn't embody any of that. He was never good enough for my girl Kiki, okay? He was never good enough for her. But then from there, when Zach is like trying to get all over her at the party, I was shocked. I'm not gonna lie, like I knew something was gonna happen with her and Malachi, like some type of interaction, but I was just so shocked that in that moment she was so bold enough to just go walk over to him and like literally make out with him to make Zach jealous. I'm like, make Zach jealous, sure, but you really wanted him. Like, come on, don't lie. You wanted him, he wanted you. Y'all were making eye contact the whole night. Y'all were flirting with each other's eyes. You were peeping each other. You already had that little crush and inclination of like wanting to get to know each other from that first little meeting where you called each other, you know, superhumans. That whole banter, that whole flirtiness was already happening, was already manifesting, honey. But I can just say, like, for me, like, girl, she was so bold to be able to do that, because I would not do that. I was just like, you go, girl, because, like, I love that, because I wish I was that bold and could just, like, do that and just be like, I'm gonna just go kiss him and say, I'm gonna make you jealous. But really, she wanted to kiss him too, and that was part of it. It's like, you know, she wants to make Zach jealous, but, like, you also know, like, she wants to kiss him and he wants to kiss her. Like, this is not just a ploy to make someone jealous, or he, you know, after, you know, he said that he, like, wanted to kind of prove that she was a hypocrite and, like, prove his point, blah blah blah, which he ends up revealing none of that was ever true. But we know it wasn't true. You wanted to kiss her because you wanted to kiss her. She wanted to kiss you because she wanted to kiss you. There's that. And then from there, the whole story unfolds about how, you know, they end up creating this fake relationship in order to boost ratings on Kiki's show Brown Sugar, because she wants to get this internship in New York and he needs help with his film because, you know, he's an aspiring filmmaker and all these things. So from there it begins, and I loved it from the moment it began. Like, the dialogue between them, the banter between them was just so, I love it so much. Like, and I'm personally, like, this is just me, like, I'm that type of person, like, I'm that type of woman, like, I love the banter, I love to, like, throw jokes, throw jabs, and if you can't take it, will never work, because, like, I just love to be able to do that. And that's one of the things I loved about this book so much, is the banter that they had with each other back and forth. That was probably my favorite part of the book. Every conversation they had, I just felt it so deeply, even if it was jokes or not jokes. And then when he created that nickname Scotch and she called him Kai, and it was just natural. And that's what I loved so much, is that their connection was so natural. It took them so much time to realize, like, this is not something that just happens. Like, this is like a soul connection, you know? Like, you don't just meet everyone every day and you feel that deep sexual connection, but also you feel that emotional connection. You feel this soul connection. Like, you can be sexually attracted to anyone, but having that soul connection where you can actually open yourself up to them and feel safe with them, feel like they're not going to judge you, feel like they're going to support you. And you can also throw jokes with them, throw jabs with them, you can watch movies with them, watch music, like, you can do everything and be every part of yourself with them. That's so rare and that's so special. And I think as the story unfolds, they kind of realize that for themselves, whether they fully admitted it to themselves or not. You kind of just see that they're really realizing that what they have is so special and so rare. And I just loved it so much. I also love that we kind of get like a side romance that's kind of like brewing between Amina, Kiki's best friend, and Kofi, which is like Malachi's, I think it was his cousin. I love how that's like an unfolding romance, and how, to be honest, Kiki and Amina were kind of going through similar things, which it basically unfolds on the last couple pages. You kind of really see, which I felt all along, they were both kind of in the same boat. They were scared to take a risk, scared to open up, scared to admit their feelings, not only to that person, but to themselves. Like, I can't admit to you that I like you and I really want to be with you, because I can't admit to myself, because I'm afraid what will happen once I leap, once I take the risk, once I admit how I feel about you. Because once you tell someone how you feel, whether they reciprocate it or not, things are forever changed. And if they reciprocate it, even so, your relationship is forever changed. And you could see how they were just both so scared to take that risk and end up being hurt. And you see, as the story develops and you go more into Kiki's backstory, why she felt the way that she did. And it was really messed up, you know, what had happened to her. And it was something that happens to a lot of women, is a man that takes advantage of them and gets them in a vulnerable position and takes advantage of them in more ways than one. Thankfully, Kiki got out of that situation before it escalated. But even what it was, that guy was such a creep. He was just a predator, you know. And that's really something as women that we always have to be cautious of, is those men that are predators. And I think it was really hard, you know, for Kiki to really open up with Malachi, you know, deep down, because it was like, she had these two interactions with these men that were basically just like emotionally manipulative, and they were predators, and they preyed on her, and they were creeps. And here Malachi is the complete opposite, but she thought that he, from the beginning, she thought that he was that type of guy. And then as you see the story, and I thought he was too at first, like I really thought he was a player, you know, but then you always just felt like deep down that he really wasn't, that he just had this soft, beautiful soul. And as it unfolds, even from their first, you know, date but not date, whatever, the fake relationship, you know, as they're in the restaurant, the sweetest thing, and you know, things are unfolding, and you can just see like he's such like a good guy. Like he's not this awful player. He's like this sweet, loving, amazing guy. And it's just like, just that dream, like reading his like dialogue, the way he talked, the way he treated her, like it just made me want to fall in love with a black man so bad, because I'm just like, this is what I need. Like, this is what I need. Like, I felt that so much when I was reading this. I was like, this is just what I need so much right now in my life. As they open up more to each other more and more, you really just see the feelings develop. And I just love that part in the book where she was like, you know, as it's progressing, as they're hanging out more and more, she's explaining, she's getting more and more confused where the lines are blurred between what's fake and what's real. And I'm like, girl, it was always real, because you always had feelings for him. It was never fake for you, and he always had feelings too. You guys both were just, you know, afraid to open up, to take that risk. And I thought that's also what was so beautiful about it, is because they both felt like they were too damaged, like they were too much of a mess. And I'm like, neither of you are too much of a mess or too damaged to have a happy relationship or to have love. Just because you have things from your past or experiences or trauma or whatever the case may be, doesn't mean you can't grow and grow in a relationship as well. And they're also so young that I'm like, bro, come on. Like, y'all are so young to be thinking that you're too damaged to have love. Like, come on. Give yourself some time to grow and to change and to blossom in just through life and experience the love that this relationship wants to give to you. And I think so many of us, you know, go through that when we're afraid to take a risk because of things that we've been through. We're afraid to open up. We're afraid to be vulnerable, not even just in our romantic relationships, but with a lot of situations and with a lot of just people and relationships in our lives in general. Being afraid to open up, being afraid to be seen, being afraid to be vulnerable, being afraid essentially to be loved. And, you know, Kiki kept herself barricaded from the whole world, from her whole college experience. She was so afraid to enmesh herself in these groups and in these people and in these situations and parties because of her past, that she was literally keeping herself from living. And you see when she has that interaction with the women that become her friends later in the book, and they're like, you just act like, I feel like I get this vibe that you think you're better than us. You're just outside looking in at all of us living our lives, and here you are on the outside on your radio show just kind of telling us all what we should be doing. And I think Kiki really realized in that moment that that was never her intention. And we knew that as the reader. You know that she had a soft, beautiful heart, and she was a beautiful person. She never had the intention of judging everyone. It was her intention to, you know, protect herself, and that came off as like superiority, and that's never what it was. I thought that was so beautiful as it progresses, is that it becomes not just a relationship that she develops with Malachi that becomes this amazing thing, but it's also like her just opening herself to life. She becomes friends with other women that aren't just Amina. You know, she goes to a party. She goes to the Ty's house for a party that she missed the last year because she was afraid. You know, she opens up herself to living, to feeling, and not just being on the outside because it's safe, but being on the inside because she's alive and because she wants to feel and because she wants to experience. And that's one of the most beautiful things I took from that, is that you really can't play life on the outside. You really can't play it safe, because that safety is a false sense of safety. That safety keeps you from experiencing love, relationships, happiness, joy, self-development. What she thought she wanted blossomed because she blossomed. And I think that's probably one of my favorite parts about this book, is that way that she blossomed is how it wasn't just a story of her and Malachi. It was a story of her with herself. It was a story of her opening up. And I love, love, love that. And it was a story of a real relationship. It wasn't just sex. It was real intimacy. And I can't reiterate and explain enough how this story just made me want to fall in love. And I have been really into Black romance books by Black authors. If you have any recommendations, please let me know in the comments below, because I am obsessed right now. This is like my favorite genre right now, is Black authors, Black stories, Black love, Black romance, Black spice, Black smut, if you feel me. So I'm really, really into that right now. So if you have any recommendations, please let me know. But reading so much of this has just been making my heart just open and realizing, kind of like Kiki does, like how much I want to experience like that love just so much, and how just wanting to live, like all of these stories really just make me want to live my own amazing life. And that's what I've been loving about reading all of these books, and reading this one also in particular. And I just want to say, I love how they really thought they were in a fake relationship and they were really just friends. But you know, that moment like after Malachi had that whole big argument with his dad, which was really heartbreaking, and I could feel, you know, just as a woman, like having your partner, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever the case is, you know, seeing them hurt, it makes you hurt and it makes you want to protect them. And you could feel, you know, Kiki wanted to be there for him. And then she even says, even if I'm not in the room, like it just felt like I was still here for him. And I was like, but it was just so crazy, because like after that whole interaction, and like, you know, she's kind of just waiting for him to talk about things, and then they end up sitting on the couch together, and then she explains how she like wraps her legs around him. I'm like, I don't do that with my male friends. Maybe y'all do, maybe you I'm like, Kiki, maybe you do, but I'm like, girl, I don't do that with my male friends. If me and the homie are just friends, then me and the homie are just friends. We are not holding each other's hands. And I know it was supposed to be fake, but when they're alone together, when no one's around, you don't have to do that. You don't have to be close and cuddly and all up on each other. So the fact that you are tells me that it was so natural for y'all to want to connect and to touch each other and to show affection. And I'm like, bro, this is in your soul. This is in your body. This is not just fake. It's in your blood. Like, I just feel like for me, like, of course it's a fiction, you know, story, but it's like, come on, if this were like real life, I'm like, bro, this is like a soul connection. You can't fight it. You can't fight what you feel. Like, you can't fight your natural desires. You can't fight what you naturally need and crave, and what your body is literally asking you to do. And more she talks about that, how she was like, it was like, you know, her body literally did it for her. Like, it was just reaching out to touch him. That night in particular, where they were sitting on the couch, and the way they're describing, like, his hands were around her and she had like her back face to him. I'm like, bro, y'all are cuddled up on the couch. This ain't friend behavior. This is boyfriend and girlfriend lovers behavior. Don't fight it. Enjoy it. One of my favorite scenes was from that night when they're walking, and she was like, we were just walking hand in hand, and she was like, I don't know, you know, why, because there was nobody around, and we were just holding hands. And then, you know, when we were saying goodbye to each other, we just like didn't want to let go, and then the hug lingered. And then she was like, we made rules not to kiss, and now I don't know why. And it was just like, my heart, I was just like, girl, like, you guys are falling in love. Like, this is what this is. I'm like, this is what falling in love looks and feels like. And something that I loved about it was, even though it was quote unquote fake and they couldn't kiss, I think in a way that helped their relationship, because they didn't have any sexual, you know, of course there was sexual chemistry. Come on, she was talking about how good he looked every 2 seconds. And the way they described him, he seems like he's fine as hell, girl. Come on, a dark brown skinned beautiful man with muscles, all these things. I'm like, come on, girl. And she's like describing him as Morris Chestnut. I'm like, okay, girl, I see why you can't fight it. I see why you can't fight it. And she sounds also just beautiful herself, the way they describe her. But I just love that scene so much, because it's just like, dude, like, that connection that they just had, it just makes your heart flutter, and it just makes me so happy. Like, I was giggling and like genuinely laughing my ass off reading this book, like for real. Like, I was actually, there were so many parts where I was like dead ass laughing, and that doesn't always happen, you know. When you're reading something, you don't always like actually feel like a hearty laugh, you know what I mean, like from your belly. And I was just, there were so many parts that I just thought was so funny and so authentic, and so many like pop culture references. And I just loved how Kiki and Amina were like obsessed with Beyonce, and they just talked about it so much. I thought that was so funny and cute, and it just made it so real. But I also loved how they were like from London, and it was different. It was like a different Black story and a different Black experience, but still a Black experience. It's just a different one from being like African American, for example, but it's still like a beautiful Black experience, and I love that. And I loved it. Can I say how many times I love this? Can I say it? Because I've said it 500 times, and I will say it 500 more. As things unfold, you can just feel and see like where things are gonna go, and then we start to get to some difficult parts where they were laying on the bed together, and then the way that she was describing of them laying on the bed together, his arm was around her, and then she tried to let loose and he pulled her closer. I'm like, I don't do this with my male friends. Can I say that again? I'm like, girl, this is not friendship behavior. And that's why her friends were literally laughing at her at the end, because she was like, fake relationship where, honey? That was never fake. It was never fake, babe. It was never fake. It was always real, because it was always in your hearts. Like, hello. And then when like she wanted to kiss him, and then he like was like, no, I felt her like embarrassment and just awkwardness. I would have probably been the exact same way. I don't know what I would have done. I probably would have been mad, to be honest. Like, me personally, I probably would have been like, so what does this mean? So what is this? Because I'm wasting my time being here with you. You know what? I just like, you know, as like a defense mechanism, like just got mad, how she does kind of like later on, like just a defense mechanism, like I'm mad, whatever. But then, you know, it ends up working out at Ty's little weekend little getaway, and they end up having a whole moment. And I just love the things that like Malachi was saying. Like, one of my favorite things that he was saying, he was just like, you're it to me. When she was like, you better not let me go. Like, you better not let me go. And he was like, I made that mistake the other night. And I was like, ooh, girl. I was like, we already know he felt bad about that, honey. Like, he was probably thinking like, oh shoot, I missed my shot. I made you feel like I didn't want you. And then they finally have that interaction where he's like, you're it, Kiki. Like, I've wanted you, I've been wanting you, like you're it. And I was just like, girl, you been it, you been the one, like come on. Like, to be honest, I'm like, everyone, and I love how like you see as the story unfolds, I'm like, girl, everyone thinks you're literally amazing. Like, you're the only one doubting yourself. Everyone at this school thinks you're amazing. All of these men, and Malachi admits it like kind of in the beginning of the story, he's like, these men know that like they're not good enough for you, or if they have to be with you, that you'll make them like face their shit. Like, they're not gonna come up to you, they're not gonna approach you. They know they can't, they're not on your level. Like, come on. And he is on your level, honey. And I love that. And then from there, you know, the whole Zach situation unfolded at that party, and I was just like, Malachi really just needed to like punch him dead in his face. And I just loved how he got a little bit angry and spicy and just defended her. I was like, that's sexy. Like, defend me, especially in a situation where I really do need to be defended. And even though it wasn't like Zach was gonna like do something to her right then and there, like he is a predator. Like, he is cornering her, he's making her uncomfortable, he's trying to, you know, manipulate her. I was like, she does need to be protected with a man, because that man needs to show some force, be like, get off of her. Like, and I just love that he did that. And he came up and he was like, did you hear what she said? And I'm like, did you hear what she said? Because, and really like, did you hear what he said? Because he said, back the fuck up. So back the fuck up. And he backed the fuck up before he got pinned to the motherfucking wall, as he should. And I love that part. Absolutely loved it. And then from there, you know, they're having the little vibe, and then they decide to, you know, go to the bedroom by themselves. And I just love that. I loved how like she was a virgin, and it wasn't like hypersexual, but really like that moment, it was like a beautiful moment for like a woman, for like a girl. Like, having your first orgasm is very, very special, especially having it from like the person that you're with, like not just with yourself. And I thought that was so beautiful to her to experience that, and just the way everything was described. And one of my favorite parts, oh my girl Kiki, my favorite parts, he was like, you're a problem, Kiki. And she was like, come solve me then. I was like, oh. I was gagging, dying, fell on the floor for that part, honey. I was like, come solve me, Malachi. I'm right here. My shirt's off. Solve me, honey. And he did. He did. And I just love that whole interaction. I loved how it was described. Can we just talk about what an amazing writer she is? Oh my God. She is an incredible writer. I just can't believe, like, this author is so amazing. The way she describes everything, you can taste it. You can taste the words on your tongue. Like, you can feel it. Like, you can imagine literally every detail because she describes it in detail so precisely, but so beautifully. And it was just like, oh, I loved it. And the way they're describing, like, kissing each other, she was like, we're hungry. Like, she's like, we're, you know, kissing each other like we're oxygen. And I know that feeling, and I love that feeling when you're really, like, feeling ravenous for someone and you're just, like, devouring each other. It's such an amazing, empowering, sexy feeling. And I just love that for them in that moment, that they finally got to have that moment of just, like, sexual ecstasy, because they had so many other amazing moments. And, you know, they've built this foundation of a friendship, of a real relationship. So it's time for them to have a little play. Have a little play. But I also loved how she was a virgin and how, like, she didn't push it. Like, she was gonna, like, touch, like, him. And she was like, I, you know, put my hand towards his, like, waistband. And he was like, he stopped her. And he was like, do you want to? He was like, are you sure you want to? And she was like, no. And he was like, I don't want you to do that then. And I love that, because as women, and especially as Black women as well, we need that. It's like we always have to, you know, we're not always given the opportunity to just feel pleasure and not feel like we owe the person who gave that to us, or that we can just experience pleasure on our own, whether that's in sexual, you know, interactions or relationships, and just in any aspect in life, feeling like we just deserve pleasure, that we don't have to go out of our way for it. Like, you shouldn't, like, that man getting to enjoy your body, getting to enjoy your lips, getting to touch you is also a prize. You don't owe him anything. If he decides that he wants to please and give you pleasure, that's on him. That doesn't mean that you have to give him something in return, and that you should be then expected and obligated to give anyone anything. No, you deserve pleasure because you deserve pleasure, and you are not indebted to anyone, especially in a sexual interaction. And I'm very adamant on saying things like that, because as women, we are so often not allowed to just experience pleasure without having to owe someone, especially a man. Most of the time it's like, oh, well, he gave this to me, or I have to give this to him. No, 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 no. A man who cares about you will want to do that. He does just want to please you. He wants to make you feel good. He feels good making you feel good. He wants you to have an orgasm, and it makes him feel good that he gave that to you. He gets to enjoy your body. He gets to enjoy you with your clothes off. That's enough. That's a gift, honey. You naked, you looking good, you in that sexual place, that's a gift. And you do not owe anything more. Okay? But yeah, I just had to say that. I just had to say that, because it's no joke. And I think in that moment, it was like a reminder, like, no, ladies, like, don't do anything you're not comfortable with in sex and in all aspects of life. If you are not comfortable, if you do not feel right doing it, I don't care how much you like that person or how much you want them to like you, don't do it. Because at the end of the day, someone who really cares about you will never pressure you and never make you feel obligated and never make you feel like you have to do the most, because you don't. Period. So from there, you know, they're blissed out, they're real happy, and then of course they have to get into an argument, because everything that Zach did, you know, putting that picture of Kiki out, that was really like a hard moment, because as a woman, that would just be so awful. As a woman, like, to have your, like, pictures exposed like that, to have you in your underwear, and it was just so disgusting for a man to do that. Like, I can't believe that guys actually do that, because yes, this is a fictional story, but that does happen in real life. Men absolutely have done things like that, and it's very sad to see, because how dare you How dare you? And it's disgusting, but I liked how in a way it ended up being a blessing, because all of those women then came forward to say he did this to me as well. Whether I sent him the pictures or he took the pictures of me, it was all without my consent, because he decided to manipulate me with it, just like he was doing to Kiki. So even though it was an awful situation, it ended up being a blessing. But that argument that they had, you know, it was coming. Like, you know, you're reading it and you're like, you know, there's an argument between them coming. There's like just like in a romance movie, like there's that moment that shifts them where it's like, is this real? Are we really going to fight for this because we know in our hearts that this is worth it, that you're worth it, that this is what I really want? Or are we just gonna walk away? And when they said those awful things to each other, it was so hurtful, because I've been in those situations where you can't really say how you're feeling, and you end up just saying, like, you end up saying things out of anger that's kind of like it mutes your real emotions, and you just end up saying something that maybe in a way it's connected to how you feel, but it's not really how you feel. You didn't really mean that you didn't want to be with him. What you really meant to say is you're scared. You're scared of what it's going to mean to be with him. You're scared that he's going to hurt you. You're scared to really be in love. You're scared to admit the love that you feel. And instead, it was just like, you know, maybe this is wrong. Maybe we rushed into this. And I'm like, and then he was like, you're right, we got caught up. You know, I feel like he was very like machismo, very like in his male masculinity at that moment. He was just like, yeah, you're right. I'm out. This was wrong. We got caught up. Like, and I could just, especially like a black guy, I could just totally see him be like, you right, I'm good. Like, I'm good. Like, you're right, we got caught up. I'm off this. And ooh, that feeling, that heartbreak, that hurt, because I've been there and it hurts. It hurts so bad. And I just felt for her. And like, especially to have all of those things just happening all at once, everything at school, your body literally exposed, you're in such a vulnerable place, and then you break up with the man that you love, but you don't realize you love, honey. It was just a lot. But I'm just so happy how everything just unfolded, and I loved how she just put herself out there at the Afro Winter Ball, and she just like how that connection that she ended up developing with Simi and the two other ladies that she became friends with. I just love that so much. And I'm just like, you need friends, you need someone. It's great to have your BFF, like it's great to have Amina your BFF, but like you need other women, you need other friends in general. She ends up going to the stage and having her whole little brown sugar moment, and then Malachi shows the documentary, and I had a feeling that was going to happen. I was like, no, in some way this documentary is going to become about the two of them. This isn't just about everyone else in relationships and what it means. It's about like love, and it ends up being like that. And then he has that whole cheesy moment, which is cheesy but so not cheesy because it was just so beautiful, where he was just like, her right here. Like when he was like, her right here, I was just like she's it. Like I see why people want to be in relationships now, because it's like when you meet someone you really care about, it's worth it. She's worth it. And I just was like, yes, girl, yes. And when she has that whole moment with Amina where she's like, I think I'm like, and then she's like, I know, girl, like we all knew you've been in love with him, but come on. And then when he says like, oh my God, like I must have, and then it goes back to literally what the front cover of the book says, sweet like plantain, hot like pepper, they taste the best when together. I'm like, and that really, you know, tied in together at the end when he was like, I burnt my plantains. He was like, that's how I know I must really be in love with you, because I burnt my plantains. And I thought that was so cute, but it was just everything. I was just like, oh, I love y'all. I love y'all. And then that cute little moment where Kofi and Amina were finally together. I was like, how long, Amina, are you going to make this man wait? He is not going to chase you forever. I'm like, trust. Guys like that, especially if he's like a real, genuine, good guy, you can't just make him wait forever. He needs you to admit that you feel the way about him that he feels about you. Like he's trying. You got to try. And she was like, I got him tea once. And she was like, Kiki was like, tea once? How many things that has he done for you? How long has he been chasing you? That's not enough, babe. And I just love in that moment, it was like two best friends opening themselves up to love and to being in relationships. And I love that, because it was like a love story of friendship, of romance, of self-independence, and self like embodiment and confidence and independence, and I loved it. This book gave me so much. And yes, I have learned that there will be a sequel, honey. A sequel coming out next year. I know we have to wait forever, but at least there's gonna be a sequel. I hate when there's just like an amazing romance and then we don't find out what happens next. I'm like, this is not enough, honey. Their story just got started. I want to see what it's like for them to be in a real relationships, like the trials and the bliss and the ecstasy that they're gonna go through. And I want to have a little sex scene. Kiki's still a virgin, honey. So we need to see what happens in this next book, and I hope that's gonna happen. What I've read so far is that the next book is called Sun Under Skin. Come on, just that title, Honey and Spice, Sun Under Skin, and I'm just imagining like Malachi's like glistening skin, like, and you just, that dark brown skin, how beautiful it is, like just soft. Ooh, that's what I'm just imagining, glistening brown skin. And I'm so excited for it. I love this book. It's one of my new favorites. I'm so happy that I read it and that I listened to everyone's recommendations. I'm so happy. This book gave me everything that I needed. I am so just in love with it. So in love with the story. It feels so organic, so authentic, so beautiful, so patient, so kind. Just everything. I love the romance between Kiki and Malachi. Malachi is one of my new book boyfriends. Excuse me. Thank you. And Kiki's like that girl boss, like she's who you really want to be friends with, who you want to embody in your own life as an independent, confident woman. And I love that. I love this story. I hope you have enjoyed kind of my synopsis and my reviewing and my reflection. I took so much from this book about love, about relationships, about romance in my own life, and just about how you blossom and change through everything, like how Kiki blossomed through everything that she was going through, from her past, through Malachi, through all of it. And I took a lot from that, and I took a lot from just the journey of her being a woman and everything, and you know, no longer being on the outside but choosing to be on the inside. I took a lot from that and just took a lot from everything. Just really enjoyed it, really got so much pleasure and enjoyment and fulfillment from reading this book. So if you haven't read it and you have enjoyed this video, I highly recommend that you do read this book because it's amazing and beautiful. And if you have read it and you loved it, please, in the comments below, let's chit chat, honey. Let's talk about how much we love this book, because I'm just dying to gab. That's why I love making these videos. I've made a couple already of the book reviews. I just love to gab and talk, honey, about the books that I'm reading. It's so much fun. It's so enjoyable, and it keeps me reading more and more. So it's really exciting, this new journey of, making book reviews and everything. But anyways, I truly hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it, creating it, and I enjoyed reading this book. To Bolu Babalola, I love you, girl. You are amazing. You are beautiful. You are such a talented writer. I need to read your other book, Love and Color, girl. I need to read that, and I am so excited to read Sun Under Skin. You are an amazing author, and I'm just excited about what book is next. My next book that I'm reading that I will be making a video on is 7 Days in June, so I'm really excited for that one. And if you have any more recommendations, please let me know, because I'm all about the smut right now. I'm all about the black romance. I'm all about the black authors, black stories, black love. And today I'm filming this on the February 1st, the first day of Black History Month. So come on, it's black, 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 black up in here. And I love that, even though every day, every month, every week, every year is black. But if it's Black History Month, we're just gonna go emphasis. We're gonna take it from here and we're gonna take it to here. You feel me? But anyways, again, thank you so much for tuning into this video. I'm so happy we got to spend this time together. Make sure to follow me on all social media. That will be in the description box below. Let me know how much you love this video, and I will see you again very, very soon. Bye.